Hello, my name is Jiso, and I am reading Master Dōgen's Shōbōgenzō. Now, I confess I've got a little bit behind, but that's okay. We'll make it up. Once Joshu preached to the assembly, "If you spend your whole life not leaving the monastery, not talking for 10 years or 5 years, no one will be able to call you a mute. Afterwards, how could even the Buddhas do anything to you?" This preaches conduct and observance. Remember, by not talking for 10 years or for 5 years, we might seem to be stupid, but even if by virtue of the effort of not leaving the monastery we are beyond talk, we are not mutes. The Buddha's state of truth is like this. Those who do not hear the voice of the Buddha's state of truth can never possess the truth which is a non-mute being beyond talk. So the finest example of conduct and observance is not to leave the monastery. Not to leave the monastery is complete talk in the state of liberation. The extremely stupid neither know themselves as non-mutes nor let themselves be known as non-mutes. No one prevents them, but they do not let themselves be known as non-mutes. Those who will not hear that to be a non-mute is to have attained the ineffable, and who do not know that to be a non-mute is to have attained the ineffable, are pitiful individuals. Quietly practice the conduct and observance of not leaving the monastery. Do not blow east and west with the east and west wind. Even if for 10 years or for 5 years the spring breezes and autumn moons go unrecognized, the state of truth will be present, transparently free of sound and form. Expressing the truth in this state is beyond our own knowing and beyond our own understanding. We should learn in practice how valuable is each minute of conduct and observance. Do not wonder whether not talking might be vacuous. Entry is one monastery. Getting out is one monastery. The way of the birds is one monastery. The entire universe is one monastery. Okay, that's where we got up to. We're now on paragraph 141 of Gyoji, which means Pure Conduct and Observance of Precepts, Part 1. Daibaizan Mountain is in the city of Kaigenfu. Goshoji Temple was established on this mountain, and its founder was Zen Master Hojo. The Zen Master was a man of the Jōyo district. In former days, when visiting Baso's order, he asked, "What is Buddha?" Baso said, "The mind here and now is Buddha." Hearing these words, Hojo realized the great state of realization under their influence. Consequently, he climbed to the summit of Daibaizan Mountain, away from human society, and lived in solitude in a thatched hut, eating pine nuts and wearing clothes made from lotus leaves. There was a small pond on the mountain, and many lotuses grew in the pond. He sat in zazen and pursued the truth for more than 30 years. He saw and heard absolutely nothing of human affairs, and he lost track of the passing years, only seeing the mountains all around go from green to yellow. Excuse me. One pities to imagine what the winds and frosts were like. In zazen, the master placed an 8-inch iron tower on his head, as if he were wearing a crown. By endeavouring to keep his tower from dropping to the ground, he did not fall asleep. The tower remains in the temple today. It is listed in the records of the temple storehouse. This is how he pursued the truth until his death, never tiring of the effort. He had been living like this for years and months when a monk from Enkan's order happened to come up onto the mountain looking for a staff. The monk lost his way on the mountain and unexpectedly came upon the site of the master's hut. When, to the monk's surprise, he saw the master, he asked, "Master, how long have you been living on this mountain?" The master said, "I have only seen the mountains all around go from green to yellow." The monk asked further, "What is the way down from the mountain?" The master said, "Follow the stream down." The monk was struck. when he returned and told Enkan what had happened, Enkan said, "In former days, when I was in Kozai, I once met a monk, and I do not know what happened to him after that. This couldn't be the same monk, could it?" Eventually, Master Enkan sent the monk to extend an invitation to the master, but the master would not leave the mountain. He replied with a verse. A withered tree, broken and abandoned in a cold forest. However many times it meets spring, it does not change its mind. Passing woodsmen do not even look back. Why should popular entertainers be keen to search it out? In the end, he did not go. Later, when he decided to move even deeper into the mountains, he made the following verse. I shall never outwear the lotus leaves in the pond. The flowers of a few pines are more than a meal. Now my abode has been discovered by people in the world. I shall move my shack deeper into seclusion. Finally, he moved his hut further into the mountains. Once, Baso sent a monk especially to ask Daibo Hojo, Master, when you visited Baso in former days, what truth did you attain and then come to live on this mountain? The master said, Baso told me the mind here and now is Buddha. Then I came to live on the mountain. The monk said, these days his Buddha Dharma is different. The master said, how is it different? The monk said, Baso says it is neither the mind nor Buddha. The master said, that old man, if he is out to disturb others, I will have no sympathy for him. Never mind about neither the mind nor Buddha. For me it is just that the mind here and now is Buddha. The monk reported these words to Baso. Baso said, the fruit of the plum is matured. This story is known to all human beings and gods. Tenryo was an excellent disciple of the master, and Gutai was the master's Dharma grandchild. Kachi of Korea, retaining the transmission of the master's Dharma, became the first patriarch of that country. So the many masters in Korea today are the master's distant descendants. As long as he lived, he was served and attended in everyday life by a tiger and an elephant who never vied against each other. Tigers and elephants symbolize excellent Buddhist practitioners, it says, not actual tigers and elephants. After the master's death, the tiger and elephant carried rocks and carried mud to build the master a stupa. The stupa still stands today at Goshoji Temple. The master's maintenance of pure conduct is praised by good counselors of the past and present alike. People of inferior wisdom do not know that they should praise him. To hold to the pretense that the Buddha Dharma can exist amid greed for fame and gain is the small and stupid view. Zen Master Ho-En of Goso Mountain said, this is quite a long quote, when my master's master first took up residence on Yogi Peak, the rafters of the old roof were broken and the mischief of the wind and rain was severe, for it was the end of winter. The temple buildings and halls were all run down and the monks' hall was especially dilapidated. Snow and hail covered the platform so that there was nowhere to sit. Even the most aged veterans, snowy hair bristling on their crowns, swept away the snow, and monks of venerable years with their greying eyebrows seemed to harbour sorrow in their wrinkled brows. None of the monks could practice zazen in comfort. One patched-robed individual requested with utmost sincerity that the monks' hall be repaired, but the old master refused, saying, our Buddha has said that this is the kalpa of dissolution, and even high cliffs and deep valleys are changing and inconstant. How can we expect to have everything as we please and seek to call ourselves satisfied? The sacred people of olden times usually walked about under a tree or out in the open. This is an excellent example from the past. It is a profound custom of those who tread in bareness. Even though you have left all of your family life and all are learning the truth, the movements of your hands and feet are not yet harmonized. This life as a monk is only 40 or 50 years. Who has time to spare for an opulent roof? In the end, he did consent. The next day, in formal preaching in the Dharma hall, he preached to the assembly, "When Yogi first took residence here as master, the roof and walls were barely held together, and the floor was scattered all over with pearls of snow. Our necks contracting, we secretly grumbled. But we remember the people of old who dwelt under trees." That's the end of the long quote. Finally, Master Gosso Hoen did not give his permission. Yet patched-robed monks from the 4 oceans and the 5 lakes long to come and hang their travelling staffs in this order. We should be glad that so many people indulge themselves in the state of truth. We should imbue our minds with this state of truth and should engrave these words on our bodies. Oh, sorry, can't stop yawning today. Master Gosso Hoen once preached, "Conduct is not on a level beyond thinking, and thinking is not on a level beyond conduct." We should attach importance to these words, considering them day and night and putting them into practice morning and evening. We should not be as if blowing idly in the west, north, south, it was actually blowing idly in the east, west, south and north winds. Still less in this country of Japan, where even the palaces of kings and ministers do not have opulent buildings, but only scant and plain ones, could those who have left home to learn the truth dwell at leisure in opulent buildings. If someone has got an opulent dwelling, it is without fail from a wrong livelihood. It is rarely from a pure one. A building that was already there is a different matter, but do not make plans for new buildings. Thatched huts and plain houses were lived in by the ancient saints and loved by the ancient saints. Students of later ages should learn for their state and learn it in practice, and should never go against it. The Yellow Emperor, which is Kotai, and emperors such as Gyo and Shun, although secular men, dwelt under roofs of thatch, an excellent example to the world. Shishi says, "If we wish to reflect upon the conduct of the Yellow Emperor, it is manifest in Gokyu Palace. If we wish to reflect upon the conduct of Gyo and Shun, it is manifest in Shōshu Palace. The Yellow Emperor's Hall of Brightness was thatched with straw and was called Gokyo. Shun's Hall of Brightness was thatched with straw and it was called Sosho." Remember, the palaces Gokyu and Soshu both were thatched with straw. Now when we compare the Yellow Emperor, Gyo and Shun with ourselves, the difference is beyond that between the heavens and the earth. But even these emperors used thatch for their halls of brightness. When even secular people live under thatched roofs, how could people who have left family life hope to live in lofty halls and stately mansions? That would be shameful. People of old dwelt under a tree or dwelt in the forest. Those were abodes that both laymen and monks loved. The Yellow Emperor was the disciple of the Taoist Kosai of Kodo. Kosai lived in a cave inside the crag named Kodo. Many of the kings and ministers of the great kingdom of Sung today have carried on this profound custom. So even people immersed in dusty toil are like this. How could people who have left family life be inferior to people immersed in dusty toil? How could we be more sullied than people immersed in dusty toil? Among the Buddhist patriarchs of the past, there were many who received the offerings of gods. Yet when they had attained the state of truth, the eyes of gods could not reach them and demons had no connection to them. We should be clear about this principle. When the celestial hosts and those in the state of demons tread the path of a Buddhist patriarch's conduct, there is a way for them to approach a Buddhist patriarch. But Buddhist patriarchs widely transcend in experience all gods and demons, and gods and demons have by no means by which to look up at them. So it is hard for gods and demons to draw near to a Buddhist patriarch. Nansen said, "The practice of this old monk has been so weak that I have been spotted by a demon." What? Remember, to be spotted by a demon of no training is due to lacking power in one's practice. Well, that's saying it all there. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.